Hi everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're at. So I owe you guys a fasting video or a video discussing fasting. So I'm going to attempt to do that for you guys right now. I'm in a diner, so if you hear any background noise, please excuse me. But just wanted to sit down here and chat with you guys. I don't have anything scripted out or anything like that. I just wanted to sit down and kind of let you know the topic of fasting and how, well, my experience when it comes to fasting. First off, a lot of people are familiar with fasting because it's been pretty trendy over the past 3 years, I think, and a lot of people focus on leveraging fasting for fat loss, and it is used as a tool. It's not a diet plan. A diet is nutrition plan, which could be comprised of varying macro allocations and also type of foods that you choose within those macros. But fasting is an accessory to nutrition, to utilize for feeding time frames. And the reason why most people fast is either for fat loss, weight management, but two other reasons along with that is first religious reasons. There's a lot of religious or religions out there that utilize fasting as part of their faith. And the third reason would be for autophagy. And what autophagy is, it falls in the category of cellular health, and it is used to help replenish and clean out toxic cells as well as rejuvenate cells, which is quite important when you consider that majority of our body is comprised of cells, not just muscles, ligaments, and tendons, and fat and water weight, but it's the cells that keep our youth and also our health. So at the end of the day, I stumbled across fasting about 3 years ago, the topic of fasting, and I actually was just curious about it, more from the perspective of fat loss and weight management. I was starting a cut during the time, and I've had read and heard about people going on keto and using fasting methods. So I went through a experimentation of N=1, being myself, because I do like to experiment and try things to kind of see how my body reacts, and that way I can build a portfolio of just knowledge. And so I dove in pretty deep when it came to fasting methodologies and practices. And so I learned that there are different types of fast, and not just for the reasons that I noted before, but basically when it comes to feeding windows, there are areas of fasting called intermittent fasting, which are based on time frames where you eat and then time frames of when you fast. So typically, we as human beings fast. I mean, when we sleep, we're not, well, most of us don't wake up in the middle of the night to go feed ourselves. So our bodies naturally fast anywhere from, 5 to 10 hours, from just sleeping. And during that process of sleep, obviously that's important. Everyone knows about the importance of sleep and recovery, but the fasting component is another aspect during sleep that happens, because you're not digesting anything. Actually, that's when your cells are actually replenishing and detoxifying from your body. So just keep in mind, that's an aspect of when you're sleeping. People say, oh, sleep's very important, but the topic of fasting when you're sleeping is another accessory that helps with your health. Fasting is also another type, is extended fasting, which you go for extended time frame. Like some people can fast up to 21 days, up to, even 60. And there's different requirements when people are doing extended fast as well as intermittent fasting. I will be the first to say that fasting is a stress on your body, like a forced fast, not sleeping fast, but like a forced fast is actually can impose stress on your body, and depending on the person, it can actually compromise your central nervous system and drive cortisol. So that's why fasting isn't for everyone. You have to kind of build up your tolerance to fasting, but first benchmark. Like you don't start, planning a marathon and just running the marathon like the next day. You shouldn't even plan like running 5 miles the next day if you're not even used to running, or even 3 or 2 miles. You build up to it. And a lot of people, when they start fasting, they read upon 16-8, which is the time frame of 16 fasting and an 8-hour feeding window, or 17-6, 24, and all those are just numbers in regards to when you're fasting and when you're feeding. Okay, so when it comes to fasting, it's very individual, and if you are interested in fasting, I do suggest that you read up on it, and when you start it, you don't go for the 5 miles, okay? You go, basically, if your average sleep is 6 hours and you know that you're fasting organically as part of your lifestyle for 6 to 8 hours before you eat your first meal, then make it 9 hours and see how you feel. Because depending also the type of nutrition plan you're on, if you're on keto or if you're leveraging carbs, those are two fuel types that can impact how your body reacts to fast. Because when you're not eating, obviously your body, from a fat loss perspective, will tap into using your glycogen stores, and then ideally tap into your ketones, which is the fat, to burn. So that's why fat loss is usually associated with fasting. But if your body's not conditioned to utilizing ketones, then you may have blood sugar issues, and it could be stressful for your body. And that's when not everyone should fast. So, this conversation is just a high level, overview in regards to what fasting is. There's also other forms of fasting in regards to a dry fast, which is when you don't drink water and you don't consume foods or drinks. Let's say there's no drink. Obviously, there's no food involved, and except for water. Some may do coffee or tea, but no sugar, nothing to drive insulin, and some people don't drink, and that is a different aspect. So as you see, fasting can be very overwhelming, with the intricacies, but it is important that you identify what your body is conditioned for and capable to do. You can build up tolerances and endurance for fasting. It's part of training, so keep that in mind. Don't just read that, or hear that Sally started with a 24-hour fast every other day and say, I'm going to do one for 24 hours when you don't really even fast for 8. Just be mindful of that. I'm pretty knowledgeable of different fasts, and also you need to consider what I just talked about, nutrition. Like if you're ketone based or carb based, glycogen based, but also realize your body fat or muscle mass percentage. That definitely impacts, how you should fast. Through my experimentation, I did an experiment of seeing how long I could fast without compromising muscle loss. And for me, I'm typically pretty lean, even in off season, meaning when I'm not competing. So if I do too long of a fast, it will my body will convert my muscle to glycogen to burn, which that would be muscle loss. And also not just your leanness factor, but how's your body digesting and nutritionally uptaking things. So, I do plan on kind of tapping into more of the different areas of fasting, so that way I can dive a little deeper and give you some insight through my experience. You know, I threw a lot of information and terms at you right now, but I just wanted, to kind of follow up on my post that I made in the group and allow you to kind of understand and start doing the research. I don't think anyone should just jump into fasting without understanding it and how your body reacts to it. And it is a science, and it's not effective for everyone, and it is something that you can't really lean on too much if you're not going to make it a lifestyle, meaning a standard protocol of your process, because anything you drive results in has to be some form of component. And as you know, when it comes to health and fitness, it's a moving target, that we're trying to manage. So with that being said, I'm just gonna leave all that information I just said for you to digest, pun intended, and kind of let it marinate, again, pun intended, to have a better understanding. You guys may be familiar, and if you have specific questions, feel free to comment below, and I can answer you directly, more information that might be applicable to your circumstances. Just like anything in health, workouts, nutrition protocols, like this topic, fasting, type of fast, for male, female, activity, blah, 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 restorative, for it to be effective, it has to be honed in to you, okay? You can read and follow all the followers on Instagram, on YouTube, and they may have a process down and it works for them, and you try it out and it does not work for you. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? Just believe that. There's something wrong with the process that's not adaptable to you at this time. So I encourage you guys to ask the questions, because without the knowledge, it's very hard to navigate. And because it is so individualized, it has to be custom and altered to fit you. All right? Okay, well, thanks so much. Hope this information was helpful to the topic of fasting. I know it's pretty general, but hopefully you got some insight, and hope to hear from you in the comments. All right, and hope to see your post in the group. Okay, take care, guys.